Behind me is the Tatum Cabin. It was built in 1785 by Captain James Tatum, who was a veteran of the American Revolution. The first Tatum that came into the area is rumored to have thrown all of his stuff in 2 canoes and come up the New River, which is a really interesting example of what a frontier cabin would have looked like. The only thing on the exterior of this cabin that's different than what it would have been like in 1785 when it was built are the windows. There would have been no windows because on the frontier this would have been your fort. It has 2 separate gun ports on the outside of the cabin. All of the logs are hand hewn and it is a single pin side gabled structure, which just means the gables are on the side as opposed to on the front. It has an extended porch out of the front, which during the hot months, it would not have been uncommon for people to sleep on the front porch. During the winter months, it wouldn't be uncommon for all the cattle that are usually outside to be inside the structure with you and the rest of your family. And other than mom and dad, there were also 10 kids that were raised in this structure. You have one big old room, and it has an upstairs loft area that got added sometime in the mid-19th century as a loft for the children to sleep in. A gun port called a loophole up front. We get the term loophole that we use today when we're talking about contracts. Like, I found a loophole in the contract, I don't have to do this. It gets you out of a sticky situation, right? Well, these loopholes were designed for sticking your gun out. You would have been very isolated during the 1700s. Daniel Boone once said, if you can see the smoke from your neighbor's chimney, he's getting too close. So you would have been on your own to defend yourself against, whatever have you may have come through at the time. So you definitely would have had some defenses built into your structure. This one happens to have a couple loopholes. We have the original Tatum family sword that was carried by Captain James Tatum through the Revolution, and then it was carried by a descendant of his during the American Civil War. At some point in time during the Civil War, it had another handle put on it, but we have an object that went through 2 of the most defining moments in American history right here in Boone, North Carolina. As with any structure up here, you would have had outbuildings, and typically they would have definitely had a chicken coop. They would have had a hog pen to raise pigs if they could. They also would have had a spring house. The spring house would be an 18th century refrigerator. You'd be near water, you'd build it over the water and keep your stuff nice and chilled in the 18th century. Especially up here when, again, wood's free, it just takes time. The families and community would get together to celebrate somebody getting married, and what they would do is they would all have a cabin raising party. So it's kind of equal parts wedding reception versus hootenanny versus some heavy construction going on. But everyone would get together. The guys would do a lot of the heavy lifting, and the ladies would play games with the kids and provide snacks and drinks and stuff for everybody. So this is one of our haunted structures. There's 2 inside there. There's Mr. James Tatum, who appears in his breechcloth, and he'll walk towards the window and put his spectacles on and then disappear. And then there's also Mrs. Tatum, who will show up from time to time as a full-bodied apparition on film. So the Hickory Ridge Living History Museum is what is lovingly referred to as a building zoo. So none of the structures that are here were here originally, but they've all been moved here for preservation. This one used to sit in Todd, right where Todd Community Park is. And all of them have been brought in because they are examples of 18th century architecture, and they are all Watauga County historic structures.